Well, welcome to today's program. I'm with Sharon Cowan, who is the president and CEO of Cleaning Business Consulting Group. How are you, Sharon?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you, Jeff?
I'm really good. Well, Sharon, thank you for joining us today. We want to tap into your expertise about how a residential cleaning company can add commercial cleaning services. We know it's two different worlds. We know there are many entrepreneurs who have their eye on the commercial cleaning industry and wish to start their own commercial cleaning division. If someone came to you and said, Sharon, how do I do it? What would be your quick response?
Well, my quick response is to hire someone to help you. But beyond that, you have to first decide how you're going to go into this in terms of if you're going to dip your toe in the water and just take what organically comes your way, an occasional office here and there, or if you're going to go into and have a full-fledged division and really set up some goals, set up a budget, some timelines, some action plans. So that's the first decision you have to make, because that will affect everything you do. If you go with decision one, just dipping your toe in it, you may not have to make a lot of changes. But if you're going to do something a little more substantial, you're going to look at a second strong division of your company. So there are other things that you have to do for that. Attending every convention, every online or live event, when there are those again, that you can, that will educate you in this segment of our industry, because it's very different from the residential side.
Let's dig into some strategies. I know one question you would probably get from these interested entrepreneurs to get into commercial cleaning is how to get the accounts, how to get the jobs. Any quick marketing tips you can share?
Networking and people involvement, because it is a people business, just like any service business is a people business. But the commercial side of the industry is not a click and pay here. You don't do online estimates, you don't do online booking of appointments or accounts. You really need to get as much face time with your customers as possible. So it really takes a combination of all kinds of marketing, digital, even some cold calling, networking when those kinds of things happen again, getting your name out in the community so that you are really the first one that is thought of when someone thinks about needing janitorial service. Being seen and seeing people is that old saying. So that's what you have to do to really be successful in this industry.
Great advice, Sharon. Another one, what to charge? That has to be another challenge. How much to price for a service?
Yes.
How to do the estimates?
Yeah.
How to ensure that there's I think it's called a profit margin. Is that important?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I would say we need to have the profit margin. Profit margins while we're speaking of that, in commercial are not typically as strong as they are in residential. But the trade-off for that is the volume and the revenue. So you can get $5,000 a month from one customer in commercial, where it might take you however many, a lot more in residential to generate that revenue. Plus all the trips to all those houses where you may have one or two trips a week to generate that revenue. So the margins are not as great typically. One of the key factors is that you have to see the property and you have to understand that pricing and estimating is done by time, just as it is in residential. But the difference is the time to complete the work is typically a lot faster. So we might move through a house at 800 square feet an hour to clean, whereas in a commercial property, we might move through at 2,500 to clean. So there are a lot of variables, and that's why you can't do a lot of online estimating. You have to see and understand what the customer is looking for, and that's going to determine how you price the job.
Okay, so a lot of communication is important, visiting the client, talking about what they need. Good stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about employees, because we know that staffing can be an issue. Finding quality workers is a challenge at times. And is it true that a lot of this is night work?
Well, I would say 90% of it is night work. And the approach to finding employees has to be different, because we don't look for typically career cleaners or full-time cleaners. These nighttime accounts typically are staffed with part-time people who have a daytime job, and they are looking for supplemental income. So relatively speaking, they're easier to find than the full-time day cleaners that you have in residential, because you can track their work history. They're already working somewhere. And those are the best ones. They want just a few hours a night. They're not making a lot of demands on you for time and hours. They're happy to work 3 nights a week for 2 hours a night and get their extra income. So typically those are more stable employees. A lot of times they're a little older, and by older, I mean not in the 20-something group, but more likely in the 30 to 40 and even older. You know, I had 2 ladies work for me that worked for me for about 15 years, and they worked at the county during the day and they did the cleaning at night, and they just wanted the extra money. So, and they were in their 50s back then. Yeah. So, you know, they're out there.
Once a company has a commercial cleaning account, they've done all this work, they've landed the client. Right. They want to keep that client as long as possible. Any strategies you can share on doing that? Yes.
In my opinion, the secret sauce for keeping those accounts is consistent delivery of service. You have to deliver on that scope of work you've agreed to, and you have to do it day in and day out. And the way that you maintain that is by consistent supervision. Oversight and supervision is a key. You can't give people a mop and a bucket and keys to a building and not see them again for a month. You have to have a person designated for quality control who is going to be out there checking on the crews in the evening, but at the same time, another person, or could be even the same person, who is out doing proactive inspections during the day when your contact at the facility, your person who hired you, sees you on the property. They see you checking, they see you looking, they may go on walkthroughs with you to just make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's really the secret, that supervision. You can't be without it.
No, that's great advice, and it makes sense. So we've talked about a lot of strategies, things that cleaning companies looking to get into the commercial sector can do, or maybe even newer startups. Where can people go to get help as they venture into this? Because I'm sure they need more than what we said today in this 10 minutes.
Oh, sure. ARCSI has worked very generously with me throughout the years to present these kinds of things. ISSA, of course, puts on seminars, the Cleaning Management Institute. There are many organizations that do classes and workshops to help. You can find a consultant. I would suggest, if you look for someone to help guide you along this, you find someone who has done both residential and commercial so that they understand both sides of it. You can get involved in some Facebook groups, but I really caution against getting especially pricing information from Facebook and groups, because somebody that lives across the country really cannot help you price the job, and you'll get some bad information. So I'd be careful of that, but seek out some mentors and some legitimate classes like ISSA and ARCSI have to offer.
Maybe they'll fly you in to have you do all the work for them. We'll see.
Well, I've done that before too. I have done that before.
All right, Sharon. Well, thank you for your advice today. And I'm sure a lot of companies will find this to be some great help for their services.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jeff.